You know, it's really important when we do a fundraiser to make sure that our hearts are set in the right place. So I just want to share with you a verse from 2 Corinthians 9. It says this: each one must give each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. We just want to encourage you this morning, you know, while we do worship, while you hear from the speakers, to just ask the Lord what it is that he would have you give this morning. We believe as believers that everything we have is a good gift from the Lord. That includes our finances, our time, our talent. And so asking the Lord what he wants you to give this morning towards this fundraiser is a really important place to start. So please take a moment and just ask God what it is that he has given you that he'd like you to give back to him this morning. And we just love the story that Jesus tells about the widow who comes to the temple and she gives 2 copper coins. She gives all she had. And some come and give lots, and the widow came and gave a small amount. And that small amount honored the Lord and honored Jesus as much as the large amount. So we're really excited for what the Lord's going to speak to you. I want to encourage you, if he might stretch you a little bit, he might ask you to give something you're uncomfortable with, but just to honor the Lord in that and honor what he wants to do for you. And we're really excited to see the kingdom come this morning into Connect Church, into Cranbrook, into Uganda, Zambia. We're super excited for what the Lord's going to do.
Last year, we took a team of 17 people to Uganda, and we didn't think we were going to be able to afford to go. And then a whole bunch of extremely generous people, many of whom are inside this room, prayed and asked God to give them a number on what it is that they should give. And while we were there, we saw some amazing things happen. First slide there is somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 students had the opportunity to hear the gospel. We did a campus megafest. Wow! Which you guys, you know the mayhem that was down here? Multiply that by about 6,500 times and then have it pour rain for 3 hours. And the mud splashing, it was amazing. Let's keep going. We got an opportunity to head to the inner streets of Kampala and do some foot care. It's hard to describe some of the things that we saw on the streets of Uganda, and because the kids are still in the room, I'm not going to. But the opportunities that we had to care for kids who there's no way they should be in the state that they're in. Let's keep going. We got an opportunity to feed them. We got an opportunity to give them shoes so that perhaps we wouldn't have to do all of the foot care that happened. Let's keep going. Yeah. I don't have time to share all these stories. We fed them. We were expecting to see about 150 kids on the street. The first time that I went, we did food for about 35 to 40. So we're like, let's plan big just in case. And 350 kids showed up. And we desperately needed God to do a miracle, which he did. This is our outreach to 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐬. I always get it wrong. A little island, they don't have access to anything. This is the church that 4 years ago Connect Church built. Thank you guys. Keep going. We had an opportunity to see it, to see all of the cool things that are going on there. As a result of our Megas Fest, they ended up seeing about another 150 people come out and about 75 baptisms in the next 3 weeks. So pretty amazing. This is our children's home on the ground where it is that we get to encourage and see some kids who were on the streets. You know, I won't point out which one, but one of those kids is completely covered in cigarette burns. These are kids who are taking off of places and spaces where they're being trafficked and where the life that no kid should ever have to dream of. We're encouraging them to leave that life and move into something a little bit different. One of our goals is to start a compassion project there. In order for that to happen, we'd have to build one more building. And this is kind of our dream thing, not including our hope today is to raise somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000 for a variety of different things. But then any money that comes in over and above that, we hope to start this compassion project where we'd see even more kids and even more struggling kids in poverty released from poverty in Jesus' name, where it's entirely run through the church, where everybody has the opportunity to recognize that God is helping them get off the street. Next, I want to talk about Zambia. Or do I want to talk about Zambia now? No, I don't. All right.
Okay, we have a video from the Ishaka home for you.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.
They're so awesome. While you're all settling in, I'm going to tell you about our greatest outreach that we have in Cranbrook, and that's our Connect Kids Camp, our Connect Kids Summer Camp. And it is awesome. We have two of our camp counselors in the crowd. Ava, Jackson, stand up. Thank you. Man, our youth pour into our kids all summer long, and it is such a gift. It's so awesome. This year, we saw a lot of our kids camp kids come out to our New Year's Eve event, and they brought their families to the New Year's Eve event. And when their little faces saw their counselors at the New Year's Eve event, they just went through the roof. They were so excited. I felt a little bad for the counselors because they had little tag-alongs for the rest of the evening. But it was so amazing to see these community kids who don't engage at Connect Church to come out to a community event, to already have a relational person at the church to connect with and to engage in our community. So it was super awesome. So the kids camp was a dream that has been stirring for a while. We have desired to host kids camps that are affordable for all families. And so 2 years ago, we applied for a grant with the government to pay for summer students, and we got it. And it was very exciting. And the next summer, we applied again, and we got it again. And it was so awesome. This year, they changed the funding, and we no longer qualify for the funding. But what we have seen in our Connect Kids camps has been so influential that we just got the drive to say, hey, you know what? We're gonna go for it. We're gonna try to raise the money, and we're gonna put on these affordable camps for families this summer. So what is camp? Well, camp is centered around Jesus. Yep. They hear the gospel, which is awesome. What I love about camp is that we see kids from our church come in, but we also see a ton of kids from the community come in. And what I've watched over the last couple of years is that the kids who are engaged regularly in Connect Kids bring the gospel and bring Jesus to the community kids. And it's really cool to watch. They're like little undercover agents at camp. It's so fantastic. And so the counselors do an amazing job with biblical teaching, with introducing Jesus. They do a fantastic job of just living Jesus in their life, and they show it, and they really welcome the kids into a loving environment to receive Jesus. So that's been awesome. So years ago, we had a prophetic word over this church that kids would bring their families to the church. And camp is one way that we're seeing this happen. So the first year we opened registration for the whole summer, and we let kids attend for the whole summer. That was brave. We don't do that anymore, for a multitude of reasons. But the first reason is we have the opportunity to see 175 kids pass through our camp if we limit registration. So that's 175 kids to hear about the gospel. So the first year, we had a group of brothers. And they're the kind of brothers where you see them coming through the door in the morning and you're like, Lord Jesus, I need you today. Bring me all the patience. But over the summer, we started to see these brothers soften. We started to see their behaviors calm, and we saw them respond to the gospel. And at the end of the summer, I got a phone call from the mom, and she said, I don't know what is going on at your camp, but my boys' lives have changed. They're not the same kids. And what is this thing called devotions? Because my boys say we have to do devotions every night at the dinner table. Yes. And so we had the opportunity to explain the gospel to her, to explain Jesus to her, and explain what devotions were. And she said, how do I do it? And we as a church pulled together some resources, some money, and we sent the boys home with a Bible each, a Bible for their parents, and devotionals. And she said, I don't know if I believe in this Jesus guy, but my kids do, so I'm going to support them. We're going to do this every night. And they came back last year, and the evidence was still there that Jesus was working in their lives, and there was fruit from that. So, yeah. Those are the kind of kids we see. Those kids had never heard the name Jesus before they came to camp. So that was an awesome transformation. Another story I just got this week, I put a Facebook post out saying, hey, our funding's been cut and we really need to raise some money. And one mom responded to me and she said, her son, I've known him since he was in preschool, has social anxiety. And she said, Connect Camp is the only camp that he'll agree to come to, and the only camp where he feels like he can be himself and let go of his anxiety and feel welcome. So this camp is changing lives. So the other thing that we see is kids just don't attend camp for their week. We are seeing kids come back. So when we host events like Kids Night In, our first line of fire on email is all of these kids who have attended camp. And so we see kids come back for Kids Night In who have attended camp. So throughout the year, we're affirming the gospel in their life. We're affirming Jesus in their life. Even if their parents aren't church attenders or Jesus believers, they bring them to Kids Night In because that means they get a date night. So they drop them off. And we love that. And then, like I said already, New Year's Eve, we saw a huge turnout, over 200 people, most of them community members, not Connect Church members. That came out as a result of kids camp. So kids are bringing their families into the church, which is so exciting. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the money. Kids camp, without our government assistance, is going to cost us somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000. The reason for this is because we keep our camp cost low. So the average camp in Cranbrook, I just did my research for my 4 children to attend camp, was between $30 and $100 per day per child in camp, in Cranbrook, sorry. No Jacksons were harmed. He does this willingly. This is what I'm talking about. This is why kids come. This is also why we hire youth and not adults. So we have been able to, over the last 2 years, we've been able to keep our camp cost at $10 per child per day, which is an incredible discount to families. And we see kids come through camp who wouldn't otherwise get the opportunity to attend a summer camp. How many of you in the room were impacted by summer camp at some point in your life? I know for me at 15 years old is where God called me into full-time ministry at a camp. God really works through camps. The Holy Spirit really works through camps. And so we really believe that this is important and that we want to continue to keep offering this to our community so that many kids can come through. The shenanigans are endless. So that's the essence of camp and our fearless leaders. You guys, I already have a full staff team waiting. I have returning staff emailing me saying, when's it starting? When can I come? I'm super excited. I have people from other churches in Lifelinks messaging me, can I be a part of your summer camp? And then, I have people who grew up in this church who are now young adults saying, I want to lead summer camp this summer. I want that position. So we have people itching at the bit, and our office has already had a multitude of emails from families saying, when is registration opening? And so we would love to email those people on Monday and say, registration is opening in June. We've got the finances to move ahead. So we appreciate your generosity to make sure that camp can run so that 175 kids can hear the gospel and lives can be changed. Thank you.
Awesome. I'd like to talk a little bit about Zambia. Now, we don't talk about Zambia very much. I was there 4 years ago, and we began our partnership in Zambia with this dynamic leader by the name of Daniel. There he is there in the red. This guy, he's a firecracker for Jesus. Like, he makes me feel useless. He is so passionate about God. About 16 years ago, he had a vision from God that he was supposed to leave the job that he was currently doing and begin planting churches for Jesus. And in the first 10 years, they planted somewhere around 43 churches. and what they're, yeah, you can clap for that because that's amazing. And what they do is they do these, what he calls urban outreach, rural outreaches. And what it is they take a group of people into tiny little tribal villages that don't yet know Jesus in the outskirts of Zambia, in the far reaches of Zambia, and they bring somebody who is actually willing to go there, somebody who is willing to be planted there with them. And they do this big outreach, and they bless the people there. One of the ways that they bless people, Zambia has this passion for brightly colored fabrics, and they will come, and it's actually considered a sign of honor if you have brightly colored fabrics. And so they will come and they will help these people who have very little have a little more dignity. And then they share the gospel, and they plant a church. And last year they came to us and they said, Frank, our goal is to go to 7 places and plant 7 churches this year. I said, ooh, that's fantastic. How much is it going to cost? Well, probably somewhere around $7,000. And we've raised a bit of it now inside of our congregations, but it's going to cost about $7,000. And I said, I don't have that. But we partnered with another church, because this was after Uganda, and we threw a lot of money towards Uganda and saw a lot of great fruit from it. And between another Lifelinks church and us, we were able to raise about $3,000. So they went to 3 different places, and they planted 3 new churches. Their current total is somewhere around 57 churches that they've been planting. And basically it costs about $1,000 in order to plant a church in a rural area, which is crazy how cheap that is. Like, I don't know. It is phenomenal what it is that they do. I'd like to plant more churches in Zambia. And one of our goals is maybe even, I'm going to say this super maybe, take a team to Zambia next summer. So you can start praying about that. Take a team to Zambia for a week, and then maybe take a team to Uganda for a week. But we're just praying about that. Don't hold me to any of that. I told Dwayne last year I was never going back to Africa. We'll see. Anyways, our goal today, like I said, is to raise a schwack of money. We already have about $20,000 earmarked for things that we've committed to this year in Uganda and a few other places. And we have $20,000 that we'd like to raise for Kids Church, and that's where the next 20 goes. And then anything above 40 will go towards Zambia to plant churches, because we haven't committed to anything there, so we don't have any commitments there. And then anything above that will go into future expansion in Uganda. Does that make sense? That's where it is that we're going. And so what I'd like you to do right now, and Jen talked about this earlier, is to just pray about what it is that God is asking you to give. Now, we're not talking about the cake auction here. That is the craziness that ensues after you've decided in your heart what it is that you're called to give this year towards it. And I get it, man. I know this. Times are tough. You know, we got inflation and we got everything else. I asked Daniel what it is that inflation was in Zambia, and he said in 2 years the cost of their food doubled. And the expectation is that in the next 2 years it's going to double, because Zambia is going through right now the worst drought that they've seen since the mid-'80s. Entire crops of corn, what they call maize, lost. And so another one of our goals, should even more money come in, is I'd actually like to provide him with a schwack of money so that he can buy up a ton of maize, because they're just experiencing the drought right now. They just finished their rainy season and they got no rain. And so they're a landlocked country. They don't have access to any water from outside of the generosity of the people around them. Not only that, they're going through 12-hour-a-day brownouts, meaning there's no electricity for 12 hours a day. So Zambia is in dire need. And so if we can help them out, I know that we are all struggling, but if we can just pray about what it is, God, that you want me to give, we just think, get a number, and then be obedient to it. Not under compulsion, but just because you're like, God, what is it that you want? And then give joyfully, not with hesitation, not with trepidation, not with reservation. There's the word I'm actually looking for. But just, God, what is it that you want me to do with your money? What are we doing next? We have a few videos. We have dear friends, the Fenemas, who are on mission in Belize. Currently, we don't formally support them. We support them in prayer and a few other things. We do relationally support them. When they have a need come up, we send it out to our prayer partners. And we've done a few things, blessing some families with health issues in Belize. But here's their story.
Hey Connect Church, it's Paul
And Leia.
and we're in Belize. I just wanted to wish you all a happy Mission Sunday. We are often asked, why are we in Belize? And the answer to that is pretty convoluted, so we won't really get into it. The important thing is now that we're here, we have all sorts of opportunities to invest in the community, build friendships, and to do the work of God, be the hands and feet of Christ. So we wanted to give you guys some examples of things we've been a part of over the past couple of years. Medical is a major problem in third world countries or developing nations.
Well, first off, it's not free, and the minimum wage here is $3 US an hour, but the cost of living is equivalent to Canada. So most people who need surgeries or medical help can't afford to get it and end up dying while they wait.
The people we were able to help, and you guys were some of the supporters, is a man named Carlos who worked at our fruit stand. We were able together with you guys to raise 6,500 Canadian toward his heart surgery that he needed.
We were also able to help our local coconut water lady with money towards her surgery for abdominal tumor, and also money towards fixing her truck so she can have a livelihood and connect coconuts to sell. One thing that I'm passionate about is everything birth, and I've been blessed to be a part of a few people's births here and their prenatal journey.
While we've been working on some of our own projects here, we've had to hire a lot of locals, and one of the main themes that I've seen with all of the local men that I've hired is fatherlessness. I've had tons of great discussions over the last couple of years with all of the guys I've worked with about how they can prepare themselves better for resisting some of the temptations of alcohol or repeating some of the patterns that they've experienced in their life. Some of you have us on social media, which is great, but it's a place where we share a lot of the highlights of living in a tropical place. The reality, however, is that it is a rough place to live. We've been asked by a lot of people, would you move to Belize? And I would say to them, well, you'd have to weigh these challenges. And here are some of the challenges we've faced since we've been here.
Our health issues, we've had a lot of tropical illnesses. The infrastructures, the roads, the needs are just in your face. There's poverty all over, there's sickness, there's medical needs, there's kids running around with no schooling. The needs are just out there for you to see. There's a lot of violence, and that, as a mom, that's probably one of my biggest things. There's pirates, there's violent theft, there's regular choppings. It can just be kind of scary. But even with all that, we're confident that this is where God has us, and we want to be his hands and feet and be missional wherever we live, whether that's in Cranbrook or here in Belize.
Not only that, we want to finish our job well. So the thing that we came out here to do, we're going to complete that thing, and during the process, we're going to keep on looking for opportunities to be the hands and feet of Christ. We want to challenge you guys with that same idea, that wherever you are, you can.
Whether it's at home, at school, at your job, just look for those opportunities where you can love someone and share Christ.
Bless you all.
Also, another prayer partner is Elena Miller. We don't support her financially as a church, but many of you have been supporting her individually. We don't support her corporately because she's my niece, and nepotism is a thing, and we want to be super clear on that. Does that make sense? Great. Here's Elena's story.
Hello, everybody from Italy. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Elena. I attended Connect Church before I was sent out to do some missionary work over here. I'm staffing with Youth with a Mission. The idea is to minister to local Italians and send Italians out to the nations, train them up and send them. Italy used to be a sending nation, and it's not really anymore, and so the dream is to restore that, to make it a nation that's on fire for God. So we're running discipleship training schools, other missions training schools. I'm here to work the Bible core course, teaching the Bible. Very, very exciting. We've got one running in July. We've also got a discipleship training school that's just starting up. We're going to be teaching and coaching students on how to be creative with God, how to walk in their identity with the Lord, and then we're sending them on outreach to both the United States and to a couple of closed nations in the Middle East, which is super, super exciting. Yeah, we're really excited about what God's doing. We've got a hospitality focus, so we're hosting a ton of outreach teams from other nations. We have 2 teams from Kona, Hawaii here right now that are on outreach, doing local ministry, teaching English, working in food distribution, lots of really cool stuff here. And then we've also got a team from France that's coming. This will be our 2nd team from France. And we just love extending kingdom radical hospitality, and that's what we're all about over here. And it's really making an impact. We had actually one man come to know the Lord just through our hospitality of saying, hey, he was a stranger, and we said, hey, come have dinner with us. And so he had dinner with us night after night after night, and we told him the gospel, and he gave his life to Christ just because we were willing to have dinner with him. And so that's what we're all about. It's really exciting. God's doing some really cool things here in Italy. Thanks for listening.
Well done. Wow. Okay. Now, all of those of you who didn't get a chance to bid, think about what your number was. And then think about what it is that we're doing this for. Think about what your number was. I mean, this is fun and it's goofy and we have a blast doing it, and so many people pour their heart into this. But really what it is that we're doing is that we are trying to make a difference in the lives of people who have very little. And we have the opportunity in order to bless them out of the abundance of what it is that God has given us, not under compulsion, but just because he is a good and loving God who has blessed us beyond anything that we could ever imagine. And so think about your number and then give. Cool? And we'll let everybody know real soon where it is that we're at. Pavalon. Oh, and everybody who's watching online. Hi. If you could give to our missions, you can give online. You can give through our app. You can give through the website. You can give by emailing the church. Thank you. I want to thank you in advance because I know that you guys are going to be faithful. I really do appreciate it. It's a big deal. The difference that you're making in these people's lives, it's just a big deal. And it's not just in their lives, it's an eternal difference that is being made.